What is going on, people, and welcome back to another video on the channel. I am happily joined today by a man that's helped me out quite a bit on my journey so far, Lancashire lad, aka Stu. How are you doing, mate?
I'm really good, mate. Really excited about what you're doing at the minute, and thank you for reaching out and asking me to come on and do something like this.
As always. It's despite being a Liverpool fan, you've helped me out quite a bit so far, so it's good. There's so much going on around Liverpool at the minute. You could spend hours and hours talking about what's going on, but I think the place to start for me is this potential sale. So this broke out earlier last week, didn't it? That a consortium led by, I think it was the previous owner of QPR and Jeff
Yeah,
Bezos.
Amit Bhatia.
That's the name. That's the name. Alongside Jeff Bezos and a few others are looking to buy 30%, £1.35 billion. What's your thoughts? What's your reactions to that?
I don't really know what to think about it at the minute, to be honest, because there's always that sort of anxiety when you're a fan that cares about the club, and you've seen what's happened elsewhere over the years. You kind of have that anxiety because I think there's that saying, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And there's some big names there with a lot of power and a lot of money, and you don't know right now what their intentions are. Why are they doing this? Are they coming in to support FSG in the long term? Are they coming in as the first step before FSG eventually sell the club to them? Because the big thing is the power that these lads have, these guys have. I can't imagine them wanting to sit in the background twiddling the thumbs. They're obviously going to want a say at some point. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about, well, Liverpool will start buying success and all of that, which obviously isn't the case these days, ever since the rules were changed, around the time Newcastle were taken over. They're arguably the richest club in the world, and they can't really do anything about it. So
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that everyone can relax on. For me, I'm bang in the middle. I'm excited about the possibility of, fresh air being breathed into the club. But at the same time, until we know the intentions, yeah, I remain kind of on the fence going, okay, well, show us your cards then.
Yeah, it's always going to be this situation, isn't it? We've gone through this at United, probably slightly different circumstances, but getting a new partial owner coming in, you're not entirely sure what they're going to bring, how much money they can invest, what their actual remit is. So it's going to be one of them. You're not really going to know the answer until 2, 3, 4 years down the line. In terms of the transfer market we're currently in, and also last year, do you think that's been geared up towards this deal? Because I look at last season's transfer market and I think that wasn't very Liverpool in terms of the Isaac Ekitike deal, a lot of money. Do you think that was to kind of leverage something like this, or do you think it was just separate?
I don't really know. One thing I do know is over the last decade, Liverpool have quite specialised in the area of when they've signed players for good money. It's always been a certain amount up front. And then Liverpool tend to pay the rest off over a number of years, or if that player hits the targets they've been set for add-ons. Whether or not this sale or potential 30%, that's going to go to these new owners means Liverpool can start actually paying for players up front, I'm not too sure because they will have the money to do that if they choose to go about it. Where I think FSG were always very geared up to, well, we'll pay you this now and that later, and it kind of lingers on, doesn't it? I mean, we're still unclear a year later if Florian Wirtz cost 100 million or whether it cost 116. We don't
Yeah.
know if those stipulations were met. So are we talking about a £100 million player or a £116 million player? And I think when it's clouded like that, it's difficult for fans to actually have the correct judgment or accurate judgment. Whether or not this sale of the 30% is, or this investment is the reason Liverpool have been slow off the mark this summer in regards to the serious business, it wouldn't surprise me, especially with the fee being touted for Bradley Barcola. But again, you just don't know. I mean, I think I read this morning, as of press, Ipswich have spent more money this summer than Manchester United and Liverpool so far.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary, isn't it? I think that's the nature of the beast at the minute. I know we've got a couple of weeks to run in the near enough 3 weeks, isn't it, in the transfer market? So I can't imagine Liverpool and United are going to be finishing the transfer window where they are. But it's a very interesting, and I will say from Ineos's perspective, as they've come into United, you'll probably be similar to me. You want to see the positive in it, and you want to see them moving the club forward and doing all the right things. But you do kind of buy into some of the negativity at times. I think that'll probably develop as you go, and you start reading stories about ticket prices or season ticket holders and everything that comes with a big football club, and it can get a bit clouded, really, what your actual judgment is on them. But I think it'd be interesting to see. Is it actually confirmed then, the deal, or is it got another
No,
way to
it's
go? So
no, it's at the point where it could be announced any day, really.
yeah,
I think it's going to happen. I think the surprise for a lot of Liverpool fans is that obviously when it first came out, there were rumours regarding, Jeff Bezos and the co-founder of Facebook. His name escapes me. But I think that was only sort of, speculation at the time, whereas it looked a lot more solid with Amit Bhatia, who literally, when the news was broken, he just left QPR instantly.
yeah,
And then obviously the Mittel family as well. So I kind of, from my point of view, I'm thinking, right, well, it's going to be the Mittel family and, Amit Bhatia. It won't happen with Bezos and the other lad. But is he called Savarin or something like that? But it
yeah,
looks like that's the case. I think what they're combined jointly, oh, it must be unbelievable.
yeah,
But as I said, it's not like you can do what Man City and Chelsea did back in the day, which is we'll spend whatever we want. And them days are gone. So it's not like Liverpool are going to be able to just spend as much money as they want when they want. It's got to be carefully constructed. And I've heard good things about Amit Bhatia. I've spoke to a lot of QPR fans who have said he was very hands-on and very interested in how the fans felt. Now, whether this is true, I don't know, because there could be a QPR fan watching this going, that's absolutely rubbish. This is just what I've been told. So I think that Amit Bhatia would be the one that would, be more hands-on than the others.
all right, yeah. It feels like Bezos and I know Elon Musk and stuff have been rumored to be involved in consortiums and stuff. It feels like just a statement from them rather than wanting to be front of house at Liverpool. They just want the name put in on the check or whatever the sign, basically.
Yeah, a question for you, by the way. Does it make you nervous as a United fan, Liverpool getting this back in? Is there any part about it you go, oh, bloody hell, anyone but them? Or are you quite chill with it?
It's one of them. I feel like we've had enough bad years at United. I'm used to coping with it. But obviously, Liverpool are the one team we don't want to be able to just invest as much as they can. I suppose the difference to Newcastle is that you've got the revenue, you've got the income to kind of push the boundary on that. So the likes of Barkler and you think of the deals for like Caicedo and stuff like that, which you maybe got priced out of. You could have probably got that deal done if this situation had arisen then. I never want to see you buying the good players. And I was a little bit nervous last year because Isak had been sensational at Newcastle. Wirtz, I'd watched him quite a bit and I quite liked him. So when he came in, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be another one of them seasons. But yeah, it didn't quite turn out like that. But you never know with football, do you?
No, look at the season before.
Yeah,
Everyone at Liverpool will drop off. Klopp going it'll all crumble, and they go on and win the Premier League. Then when they
yeah,
invest like they did, oh well, that means they're going to defend it, and they ended up being arguably the most boring team in the Premier League.
yeah, yeah. People are saying the same about Arsenal, aren't they? Buying Bruno and saying they're cementing and they're kind of guaranteed to get the league. It's never as cut and dry as that. We've seen that for decades, but people still do it, don't they, through the transfer window? So it's an interesting one. That moves us on nicely to the transfers. Where do you think currently Liverpool are at? I know you've got Jeremy Jacquet has been confirmed. You've got Victor Munoz, Araujo, which we spoke about briefly, didn't we? Barkler's
Yeah.
on the list. where's your thinking? Are you panicked? Do you need more?
Well, if any Liverpool fan is expecting this squad to go into the season with depth, serious depth, you've got another thing coming because that's not going to happen. Even if Liverpool sign 3 players between now and the end of August, there's going to be players leaving, you know. So Liverpool are going to have to rely a lot on the players from the first team who would start games keeping fit. And the players that are below them stepping up when required. I was really happy with the signing of Araujo. Because the one thing Liverpool, like I've heard so many people, he's reckless, he's too aggressive, he dives in, and I'm like, brilliant. Like I'm
Yeah,
for me, because we haven't got anyone like that. You know,
yeah,
we've gone from a really tough midfield of Fabinho, Henderson, and Wijnaldum that used to be physical and get fired in, and they became arguably one of the toughest midfields to play against. You know, and now we've got a prettier midfield, you know, in Gravenberch, McAllister, Soberslai. Yes, they're good on the ball when they get given the time. But when it comes to really rolling your sleeves up, I think sometimes they're found wanting. I like the idea of having someone in that squad that's going to, you know, get stuck in. And yes, if it brings a yellow card in a moment or he gives away a penalty, people will turn around and go, see, I told you. That's a price I'm willing to pay personally. And I actually hope that they play him at right back. You know,
right.
I'd like to, they spent 60 million on Jeremy Jacquet, who's come as arguably, you know, the big sort of defensive, what's the word I'm looking for? The big defensive young star from France. They haven't spent
Yeah,
60 million on him for him to sit on the touchline for a year and develop. You know, they brought him in to play alongside Virgil.
yeah,
And I think the one thing Liverpool are really weak with is the crosses from that side of the pitch, from the right back situation, from crosses, from corners, from throw-ins. The amount of flick-ons that Liverpool lose on that side, the amount of goals we concede from that side. If you've got this big
yeah,
physical strong lad at right back, yes, you might, you know, lack going forwards. You know, you might, have to, take your medicine in what he offers going forward. But we need to sharpen up defensively, and that lad for me is going to make that right hand side a lot tougher. And I think if you've got Jacquet, you've got Van Dijk, and you've obviously got Araujo there. You've got three, physical presences there that can all share the load of clearing balls that are coming in. So I actually hope he starts the season there. I'd rather have him at right back than Jeremy Frimpong. And if
yeah,
Jacquet gets through his first game against Como on Sunday, I'd like to see Jacquet go alongside Van Dijk. And I think it would help Van Dijk. I think at his age, you need a younger lad that's got the legs, that's got that speed, that youthful exuberance to sort of share the load with your experience. So
yeah.
in that sense, I'm happy with the signing of Araujo, and I hope he plays at right back to start with. Away from that, the one area no one's talking about is the striker situation. Liverpool have got Isaac. That's it.
Yeah,
Ekatike
I
isn't
saw
back
you talking
until
about this. Yeah,
he's not back until next January, February. Like, if Isaac gets injured, what? Jaden Dance can't stay fit. Will
yeah,
Wright isn't good enough. So I probably would like to. I mean, you can throw Chiesa there, you could throw Gakpo there if he stays. That's not ideal, It's not
no,
ideal. I've heard many Liverpool fans say about Wirtz dropping into the false nut. It's not ideal. You'd like to
no,
see someone. So I think what I'd say to you is, in an ideal world, I'd like Liverpool to sign a backup striker. I'd like Liverpool to sign a right winger, a left winger if Gakpo goes, and a CDM would be really. Liverpool still haven't replaced Fabinho. That was 3 years ago.
mm,
So those are the areas that concern me. I'm happy with the defence now. I think Araujo's arrival, being able to play centre back and right back, should cover it off, to be honest.
yeah, yeah. I think Aroa, probably 3 years ago, he was really highly rated, and you looked at him and you thought he's got the potential to be like one of the best defenders in the world. So if you can get even 80% of that back at Liverpool, you've got a really good deal there. I think the worry is always just potential injuries, or I think he's had a couple of injury issues off the pitch, hasn't he, which have kept him out for a
Yeah.
bit. But if you get the player that was 3 years ago, you've got a hell of a signing there, and I think that's always worth taking a risk, really.
Well,
Um,
he's obviously taken a pay cut to come. You know,
yeah,
we haven't paid. We haven't paid. You usually pay 4 or 5 million for a loan deal like this for the season.
yeah,
You know, Liverpool haven't paid anything. Barcelona asked, you can have him, but you pay his wages. And Liverpool
right,
turned around and said, well, we're not giving you that. And so I don't know what he's on. I think it's 180 a week. But he's taken a pay cut to come. So obviously
yeah,
there's something inside him that probably feels, you know what, it's time for me to, shut these back up at Barcelona, that I am good
yeah,
enough. And, hopefully, he'll come with a bit of a chip on his shoulder and, and a point to prove, which from what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling from what he said, it kind of feels that way.
yeah,
And there's nothing
yeah.
better than a hungry player.
No, and yeah, I think he's got that tenacity which Liverpool and Anfield in particular will love. If he gets it right, if he's going clattering into tackles but coming out with the ball, I think Anfield will absolutely love that. Um, in terms of Barkler, then that deal seems to be. I'm not entirely sure where it is. It seems to be floating about between you've agreed a deal with him, but not necessarily PSG. Number one, do you think that's going to get done? And number two, do you think he's the type of player that you need?
I think it will get done based on how patient Liverpool have been, because this has been
Yeah,
going on since the start of July. And, ever since Diamandi sort of it all went south, it's been around since the start of July. Liverpool have agreed personal terms with him. He's indicated to Liverpool he wants to come to Liverpool. That's his priority if PSG do sell. And we haven't put a bid in yet. Up to press,
right.
Liverpool haven't actually entered a bid. So to sit there and be that patient and wait and wait and wait for this long, I can't see it not happening. Now, the question is the transfer fee, whatever that's going to be, it's the same as what we experienced with Isaac and Verts. Unless you hit the
Yeah,
ground running, rival fans and pundits just come straight after you. It's just the way of the world.
I'll
Um,
be there for
yeah, I'm sure you will.
that.
And as is your right.
Yeah,
But he's a good right. Look, I think it's fair to say he's a very good player. Right, he's a
yeah,
very good player, but it's a lot of money for one position. Because if you're wanting to play him in his natural position, which is the left hand side, when you've already got Rio Ngamoa, Cody Gakpo, and let's face it, Victor Munoz prefers the left hand side as well. It's a lot of money to spend on one position
yeah,
that's arguably the position that's got the most depth at your whole squad, at
yeah,
your whole club. So,
yeah,
it's. But do I think he would be a success in the Premier League? I think he's good enough that we don't have to have them concerns. I
yeah,
think he would probably do well for any team in the Premier League, and I think that's why probably Arsenal are sitting in the background of all this. With
yeah,
the 160 million they had for Vinny Jr. going, well, we'll just keep tabs on this, and if we see a little in here, it wouldn't
yeah,
surprise me if Arsenal did. And I think that's what PSG are waiting for—a bit of a bidding war.
yeah, yeah. It's it's drawn out a little bit, hasn't it? And I'm sure all of this stuff with the sale is probably delaying stuff slightly, which yeah, it shouldn't linger on into the new season. But I would expect in the next week or so we're going to see quite a bit of movement. It'd be interesting if Arsenal do get involved because obviously he played against them in the Champions League final, Premier League. But then for me, I would still, as Barkler personally, look at Liverpool and say that's where I want to go and play football. Um, but yeah,
You said that again. Sorry, you'd right. You think Barcola would prefer Arsenal or Liverpool?
Liverpool, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think there's a little rumor that he would prefer to live in London,
Right?
which
Okay.
let's face it, I think so many French players they've always been that way.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, French players, if they have the, I mean, they want to live in London. So you know. whether that comes into play, I think I'd like to think he's got enough respect to understand the groundwork that's gone in with Liverpool that he'd probably
Yeah,
see it through.
yeah, yeah.
And we
It'd
are a
be an
bigger
interesting
club.
one. Yeah, there you go. Mic drop. Yeah, it's
Well, we are.
you are definitely. I think again, unlike Verts, I think he's got all of the like base elements in terms of he's really, really quick, really direct. That he doesn't necessarily have to be very, very good, but that'll probably keep people off his back. If he gets a couple of goals here and there, and he looks quite
Mm.
dynamic and aggressive, I think that'll be good enough for that first season. Probably not good enough for 100 million price tag, but
It's gone mental, hasn't it? It's gone
it's
mental.
crazy. It's
Um,
crazy.
mm.
But yeah, I never thought I'd see Liverpool spending that type of money. To be honest, it felt like you were always like Allison and Van Dijk were probably your two biggest, weren't they? At the point, was it like 75 and 65 for them?
I think Virgil, yeah, something like that. And
Yeah,
they were the signings that turned Liverpool from pretenders into champions.
yeah,
They're the ones that just link that bridge together. And yeah, well, all I can say is the pair of them are the best I've seen at Liverpool in my lifetime in their positions, which is the
yeah,
biggest compliment I can give them both.
yeah. And that's the thing. No one talks about their price tag because they've done it on the pitch, haven't they? That's the important bit.
Yeah,
Um,
no, definitely.
Pre-season, have you had chance to watch the games?
Yeah, I've watched them all.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
bad. I know you've had a couple of wins, couple of losses, haven't you? I haven't
Yeah, we
watched the
started off
games.
with
I've seen a bit of highlights.
Yeah, we started off with two wins, and then two defeats. But the two defeats were, well, I guess all of them. It's a tale of two halves, really. Liverpool first half in both the defeats were really good, and you can quite evidently see the identity that Iriola's trying to implement into this team. Um, and then when he makes the changes at half time, which every manager does now in pre-season, you won't remember the days when I was growing up, mate. But back in the day when I was growing up, there was one sub and that was it. So things have changed now, and a lot of managers in pre-season are just keen to give people 45 minutes. That'll do you for today. So when you make them kind of changes, it's going to go south somewhat, but I'd like to think, regardless of who comes on the pitch, if you're 2-0 up, surely to good God you can protect that until the end. But at the same time, a lot of people will say pre-season means nothing.
Yeah,
Probably not in that camp. I actually like to build momentum and that winning sort of habit, even if
yeah,
they are friendlies. It's just the way I see it. Maybe I'm just a football fan that likes to see his team win games. Strange that one, isn't it? But
yeah.
yeah, I like momentum. But there's been a lot of promising signs in pre-season. Especially with uh, in midfield, Trey Ione, and at the back, Ifanwe and Dukway. They've both really impressed. Rio's been a little bit quiet. I wouldn't say he's set the world on
Right,
fire in pre-season. Um, I'd probably say he's been, probably the most average I've seen him since he broke through. But again, it's pre-season, so you've got to give him the young lad a bit of slack and see how it goes. But yeah, the name to watch out for, I think, with this year with Liverpool is probably Trey Ione. I think
right.
that's why they're probably going to let Curtis Jones go to Inter Milan, because I think they're going to naturally step, Nione into that role of you're not starting, but you will come on in games. You will start in the Carabao Cup. You will start in certain Champions League games. I think this is the season they're really going to push him.
I've not seen much of him. What type of player is he? Is he like a Jones, or is he more of a kind of box to box? Or
Do you know something? I don't think anyone knows, to be
all
honest,
right, he's
because
still
since
developing.
since he's since he's come through, he played on the left hand side in the attack. Then he played
Right,
behind the striker. Then he's played in midfield. He's played at centre back, and now he's playing in the CDM role. Like,
right.
y- so you don't. He's a bit like a hybrid, I guess, but he's looked really good in deep midfield so far in pre-season. And I'd imagine, he's going to end up in central midfield. It's just, in the modern day game, what role in midfield, can he?
Yeah,
it's bizarre because growing up you were a midfielder and you could do everything. you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah, it
game's
was, wasn't
completely
it? Yeah,
changed.
yeah,
Well, he can't
yeah,
play in C. What do you mean? He's a midfielder, but it's all
yeah,
become specialised. But um, yeah, I'm not a fan of the modern day analogies. You know, like oh, the double pivot. I'm like, well, it's just a midfield partnership.
yeah,
you know, I'm kind of like from the old school.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. I think actually in Iriola, you've got a manager who probably, I think from what I've seen from him, he actually will trust some of these youngsters. I think like the likes of Alex Scott and Ryan and players like that, younger players that he brought through into that team, but he completely trusted him and said, right, if you can do what I need you to do, you've got a shirt in this team. So I think it would be interesting to see if maybe one of them, maybe a McAllister if he sticks around, maybe a Gravenberch if one of them gets pushed out for a young lad. I think that'd be really interesting to see. Obviously, time will tell.
yeah.
He needs a bit of experience, doesn't he? But yeah, yeah, it's
No,
interesting.
absolutely. I think it's going to be more to do with Iriola is if you can't do this, you won't play. You
Yeah,
know, I think that's pretty much this is what we do. This is how we play. This is how we run. This is
yeah,
how we press. If you can't fulfill that, you won't be in the team.
yeah,
And I think that was very Jurgen Klopp-esque as well. I think, Jurgen was quite, very, very fussy with that. If you're not in peak physical condition and you can't do the hard yards, he'll play someone who can. And
yeah,
I think that is the best way to create competitiveness in a squad. You're not pushing the quality and the skill. You're pushing the ethos of hard work. If you're prepared to
yeah,
do that, you'll play for me. If you're not,
yeah,
you're out. And I,
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I think you could see a big improvement from the likes of Kirkes. I think he got a bit of flack last season, didn't he? Because he was poor in his first what 6, 7 games maybe, and then from that point, I think he steadied down a little bit. But I think you're probably going to see the best out of him in this team. Just it's dynamic, isn't he? He's aggressive again. You're going to have quite a front-footed defensive line, I would imagine, this season.
Yeah, he's got to be better.
Yeah,
He settled in halfway through the season and he put in some good performances. But you're at Liverpool. You've got to be better. You've got to be more consistent. And I'll never get on any players back in their first season at a club. It's the second season where you're like, right, you've got to kick on now. Andy Robertson isn't there anymore. He's in competition with Kostas Tsimikas, which isn't really competition, especially when
yeah,
your new manager is the one you had previous. He's got to really establish himself now as a Liverpool player. That's the thing about last season. I found it very amusing when everyone was saying, well, he's been bad and he hasn't been. They were all crap. Like,
yeah,
make no mistake about it. You can't. That's why I was massively on a slot out around
right.
Christmas time because you can go through games with two or three players being off it, and the other seven will have the quality to get them through it. When all of them are off it for that long, there's
Yeah,
something going on a lot deeper, than fans realised, and they've all, they've all got to step up this season. They've all got to show why they're at the club, and that's why, to me, as ridiculous as it seems, kind of feel like Isaac and Verts are new signings. That
yeah,
they're not, but that's how it kind of feels to me because the football is going to be so much quicker now, and that is when they're at the best when the ball is being moved at pace. So, yeah, I'm actually really excited, for the season. I can't wait for it to come back.
yeah, yeah. As I'm sure everyone is. Um, before we wrap up, what what are your personal expectations? What do you want Liverpool to be doing? Because I see fan bases like United fan base this summer in particular are so divided on what we're expecting next season. You've got some fans saying, right, we can push for the title. You've got some fans saying, no, we're going to drop down to fifth or sixth. And you've got some fans saying we need to just finish third again and maybe have a cup run. What what do you personally think this Liverpool team is capable of doing?
They're capable of winning something. What
Yeah,
100%? Because a core nucleus of the players still at the club have been successful in the past. For me, above anything, I just want to be entertained again. I want
Yeah,
to look forward to watching my team play football. That is the first thing on my agenda. I just want to go to Anfield, watch them play, and drive home and go, I thoroughly enjoyed that again. Whether it's at home on the TV. You know, I spoke to so many Liverpool fans last year who said they've never picked the phone up as much during a game as they did last season when they're
yeah,
watching Liverpool. That's unheard of. So that's priority. And I think after that, a realistic sort of level of achievement would be for Liverpool to secure Champions League football again, because it's so important to these big teams. United have suffered through being out of it, financially.
yeah,
That will be back next summer. So when United are going into the transfer market next summer, it'll be a different story because that money generated and the money earned is just it's the lifeline really of being able to compete at the top table.
yeah,
So look, I personally think Liverpool have got a great chance of coming second or third. I just do. It's just a feeling I've got, and I'll stick by that. I'm not tipping them to win the league or anything like that, but I just think City might not be as good as they were. And I'm not sure about Chelsea at all. And I'm not sure about Manchester United at all either. So I think there's a really good opportunity to get top two. And
yeah,
that's what I'm going for. Second or third. But even if Liverpool finish fourth and had a good cup run, in the Champions League or the FA Cup, I'd be happy with that. But make no mistake about it, I just want to enjoy watching Liverpool again.
yeah. That's the big thing, isn't it? I think United fans went through that a couple of years ago when Ollie came to the club and we just started playing this fast, direct combination football, and we weren't perfect, we weren't great, but just enjoying football. That's the whole point, isn't it? Of sitting down and watching it or going to the stadium, whatever you're doing, you just want to enjoy that game of football. So it'd
Just
be
want to feel
interesting.
alive.
You do that's the whole point, isn't it? Go and
Just want to
enjoy
feel
yourself.
alive, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
You just want to watch a group of 11 players go out on a pitch and express themselves to a level that creates excitement, that creates entertainment. And if you can do that whilst mixing winning trophies, then that's the perfect sort of, solution, potion, if you will. That's what you want. But Liverpool are like United. They'll always win trophies regardless of how shit they are at any point.
yeah,
It's just in the DNA. So United over the last decade, you wouldn't say they've been anywhere near what they were in the past. You've still picked up trophies.
yeah,
And I think that's the same with Liverpool. Certain teams just have that thing in them that somehow, sometimes they just find a way of winning, and that's why I'd be hopeful that Liverpool could maybe pick something up this season.
yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see, won't we? I think you've got Newcastle, have you, on the opening day?
Yeah, St James's Park, and
Yeah, that's a difficult
first
start.
and it is, but I think first and foremost, it's going to be an unbelievable moment because Newcastle fans and Liverpool fans will come together to honour Kevin Keegan, who sadly passed away,
Yeah,
and it'll be a lovely moment that before the game, and the hairs on my arm have stood up actually. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to obviously the kick-off. And I think Newcastle, they're probably in dire straits at the minute, so I think they're
yeah,
vulnerable. I'd like to think Liverpool can maybe, leave St James's with 3 points.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting. We'll have a catch up in the maybe towards Christmas time, and we'll see.
Yeah,
One of us
absolutely,
might be smiling, one of us might not. We might both be smiling. I'd love a United and Liverpool title race at some point, but yeah,
absolutely. I
yeah,
think the last
yeah,
time that happened, 2008,
yeah, yeah, probably, yeah. I've
2008, getting on for 20 years,
I think the Premier League needs it, doesn't it? It'd be great to see. So, um,
or an FA Cup final. That'd be nice.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, it'd be great to see. Thank you very much for coming on. Like I say, you've helped me out quite a lot on this journey as far. So we'll see where we get to. Where can everyone find you? What are you doing? What's coming up for the season?
So I've got two pages on TikTok, football pages. One is the Lancashire Lad Football, and the other is the Lancashire Lad LFC page, which on that one it's all Liverpool. I do have a Facebook page, Lancashire Lad LFC, as well. Got a few cheeky plans in the pipeline. I'm, about to begin constructing a studio for the back garden that's going to set me back thousands, but I believe I've got to that point now where it's put up or shut up. It's time to invest and see where I can take this, because it's been, quite a crazy journey over the last couple of years, and one I've thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm hungry for more. So let's see where it can take us with a little bit more production to the content that I'm putting out.
Lovely. That's great to hear. Yeah, that's it, people. Thank you very much for watching. Get down in the comments. Let me know if you're thinking Liverpool are going to go for second or third, or whether they're going to be eighth. I'm hoping it's eighth, but yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. Again, thank you very much for coming on, Stu, and we'll see you in
No
the
worries,
next one.
mate, and all the best for the season, pal.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.